Hello, YouTube fans and friends. This is Scourge of War Gettysburg Remastered, and we're back for a scenario after action report. Our latest playthrough as a Union Corps commander, General Carl Schurz, on the first day at Gettysburg, July 1st, 1863. If you missed the full playthrough, do click the link in the top right to see the entire combat and chat as I moved across the field, issued commands, and got the troops moving to defend the line here at Gettysburg against the 2nd Corps Confederate attack. I'm going to come at it from the high view. This is our man von Amsberg's skirmishers. This was our left flank. Lots of artillery helping him. One lone regiment here spread pretty... Von Amsberg's one of our larger brigades, and he was spread pretty thin over here. But overall, across the battle on this side, I kind of let him do his own thing, and he ended up doing pretty well overall. Now here around Barlow's Knoll was where things were starting to get... I keep calling it Barlow's Knoll, Bloker's Knoll. This is where things started to get real hectic and busy. I let Ames' brigade move off our left with Gordon. You can see beginning to push the center right of the line. Basically, Dole's here. We move one regiment to the right to shore things up on this end in hopes of stymieing the Confederate advance across the creek. I did not see all of these regiments back here from Gordon's brigade. He only brought up, it seemed, the 38th. Oh, there were a couple that were firing from across the creek and down this way. I hadn't even known that. I remember this, though. Yeah, this was when the 38th Georgia came and slugged it out with the 153rd with a lot of long-range fire, again, coming from this side of the creek bed. I did not know they were back there doing that. That was tough on this unit. The 153rd lost about a third of its men, or maybe a quarter of them right there. Had to retreat. We bring up the 54th New York to then assist the 107th Ohio, who was now getting it from most of Gordon's brigade, making an advance across the creek now. Here's Krasnowski moving into action. We were going to take the 26th Wisconsin and move to the right with it. I feel like that was a pretty critical move along our line to help shore up this side. The problem was that Krasnowski was then fighting the rest of this combat action with his 4 smallest regiments, none of them of particularly high quality. Here out in the field, we managed to overwhelm parts of Dole's brigade, 4th Georgia here. But he turned, fell back. He ended up coming back again, I think, or some regiment did. The 44th Georgia. The 44th Georgia, I want to say they came over here and just about moved off Krasnowski's entire brigade at one point. Yeah, here we have the rest of Gordon's brigade that started to overwhelm our defenses on this side here. The 107th Ohio had lost, 238 troops at this point. Still holding, though. I got to hand it to our boys on this side. They outdid themselves, frankly. Here we go. All right, so the 4th and the 44th came back from Dole's brigade, and Krasnowski was engaged solely with those 2 regiments in that part of the line. That's fantastic. Here we got von Amsberg still, he's just advancing. He's falling back in spots. He's going here. Oh, and then Gordon makes the big push up the knoll, up and over the knoll. That's where they took the point. We began pulling folks back. And now it's holding the line best you can with tired troops. Luckily, Gordon's brigade was tired too. As you can see, we managed to hold them off. They take the objective. But we kind of remain here on the reverse slope with a little more artillery left in support. By the way, I did edit it out, but I had a small complaint about how little artillery I was able to actually control. I didn't try moving any of these because I thought that artillery position altogether is just too good. So I figured I'd go ahead and leave it to the infantry to fight over here. And then you have the rest of the rebels fanning out on this side, ready to advance around the flank. And again, I gotta hand it to my guy von Amsberg over here. He did a good job holding off whatever was, I think it was O'Neill. And then Remastered did not push real hard. Remastered went over that way, it looks like. See that? Yeah. Remastered starts moving down toward McPherson's Ridge instead of at us, which, that's a bit odd. Gave us the chance to just stand strong right in this spot. Now, what it did was put a bunch more pressure on our First Corps buddies up here on Oak Ridge in this reserve brigade here. Ultimately, here we are continuing to just try and fight this open field infantry battle to hold the line on this end here. Oh my gosh, I didn't see this. The Revs started bringing up artillery. Wow. Okay. Interesting. They probably started pounding us from down there up kind of just whoop here. Or maybe across the way, kind of to here and here. But again, 44th Georgia, 4th Georgia from Dole's brigade, these troops were really giving us headaches over here. They just wouldn't go away. 2 regiments against this whole brigade of Krasnowski. They did not do... Krasnowski did very poorly in this fight. Good to keep these guns in action. And, you know, just poking and prodding along the line to try and keep everybody away. All right, here is von Steinwehr coming forward in support. And he came right in the nick of time. I might have done better to move troops. Maybe move him, just kind of shift just a little further to the right to support, kind of link into Coster and support the line as it bent around this way. Orland Smith's brigade sorting itself out over here. He's kind of, yeah, he was spread pretty well. His 55th Ohio got into a shooting match against the 44th out in the field there. I think I remember seeing that. These troops, I don't think, got engaged at any point. Here's Coster forming up on the far right to blunt this Confederate advance here. It's more of a desperate struggle in this section of the battlefield, for sure. And then still over here, you know, we're getting pushed back, von Amsberg, by the 5th Alabama from O'Neill's brigade. But we're hanging on. The guns are still here. We probably, you know, that's just one regiment. We would be able to get over there and reform. And here's where we're kind of rounding out toward the end of this part of the combat action. My belief was that we would have been able to slowly fight and withdraw with the troops that we have remaining. That was my belief. And you can see here kind of how the line ends up. And you've got Hayes, fresh Confederate brigade that came forward and was pushing, really pushing. And then you've got Dole's troops over here with the 44th Georgia that just did not want to leave. And the 4th Georgia either. Here we go. This is right near the end where we're stubbornly standing our ground. It would probably be a short-lived fighting withdrawal. Maybe. Again, I'll kind of let you decide. There's a lot of rebel troops out there. Some of them are pretty tired. Then here was another problem. Okay, I didn't see this. But it's good to point this out. The rebel brigade under Avery had effectively moved around our flank. We would have probably had to retreat Coster to here, fought here. Probably all, you know, once we gave up this road, you know, we would have had to withdraw to this one and head on back through town and order the retreat, as it were. So, you know, it was an inconclusive fight. However, we did allow one rebel brigade around our right, and they had plenty more coming. So my guess is probably would have had a pretty historically reminiscent outcome from this one. And at least it was a stand-up fight. At least we scored an inconclusive fight result in-game. I'm happy with that anyway. You try to do as well or better as they did in history, but that's part of what I really love about this game and what it kind of gives you the ability to do is to really appreciate how difficult it was to pull off what the guys actually did. I love that part. That's the replay and the after-action report from Scenario 5. Here at Scourge of War, Gettysburg Remastered. I've had so much fun putting these videos together for you. If you have enjoyed them, let me know. Click that thumbs up button. Helps the video, helps the channel, and helps this great game by NorbSoftDev. Subscribe to my channel, Alternate History Gaming, and hit the notification bell to find the next time I drop a big video for you. Until then, I'm Bank60s. Later.